A couple of very handy boundaries by the bowlers who did find themselves in a position to bat. KL Rahul said at the toss, hopefully Jason Holder won't need to bat. Well, everyone after him also needed to. In a strange innings that's ended with 153 for the Lucknow Super Giants. Not the free-flowing batting powerhouse that KL Rahul has been leading this year's IPL. So we look back at it on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by IQ 95G. That being said, last game at Pune was Rajasthan getting 144 and managing to defend it. So anything can happen. Let's ask Dan Vettori if 153 is good runs after it looked like they may not have got there, or are Punjab still the happier team at halftime?
I think Punjab are, but I think there's an element of this will be a tricky chase. It was a baffling innings from Lucknow, from the way that de Kock started, looked in control. Rahul got out to a good ball, that happens, and then Huda and him put together that partnership. But I'm not sure what happened in those middle stages. It was bizarre running, slogging really, and then they passed it over to the tail.
Yeah. Weird innings. Could you sum it up, Katsi? Dan calls it bizarre. How would you sum it up?
Bizarre. I put it in two categories. I don't think the wicket's as good as we might think it is. Some variability there. I really don't think they bowled that well. Just some poor cricket, some poor batting, and they didn't capitalise when they needed to.
Yeah, I guess that's fair, because if Kagiso Rabada is your destroyer-in-chief and he's gone at 9.5, you're not quite sure what to make of it. It's hard to score, and yet they've got 38 eventually of Rabada. You've seen Mohsin Khan and Chamira hit 30 of 16 between them. De Kock looked like he's on a different planet. So what is the variability in the pitch that Ben Cutting talks about, if any?
Well, the interesting thing was Rabada went for boundaries and sixes, so that may give Kings a little bit of hope that they can actually take on the pace of the likes of Chamira and Avesh Khan and Mohsin. So maybe that the faster you bowl, the easier it is to hit the boundaries, albeit that Rabada still took 4 wickets, and particularly that wicket of Rahul at the start was a crucial one because of how impressive he's been. So I think we've got to go with the track record of the wicket from the RCB Rajasthan game, and then backed up with this, where it looks like it gets tricky if the bowlers get it in the right areas.
Okay, we'll come to what type of bowlers work. Sandeep Sharma was very good, but let's just talk about Lucknow for a bit longer. Ben, what did you make of their strategic approach to this, with Deepak Huda at 3, Krunal 4, Stoinis 5, Badoni 6? Would you have had Stoinis any higher?
Patchy. I thought it was patchy. I thought I definitely would have had Stoinis higher. I mentioned, pre-game, I do prefer him in that 3-4 mark. Back end of the power play if need be, and then manoeuvring through the middle overs, getting balls under his belt where he can sum up the wicket, sum up the bowlers, and work out who he's going to target towards the end. But bit of variability in the wicket. We saw some slow balls stop or grip, like the one Rahul Chahar bowled, the leg spinner to Stoinis. It just sort of stopped and didn't really bounce either.
Lucknow's approach, batting order? Okay.
It's fascinating because apart from Badoni, they're all very experienced players, and they're experienced in those middle stages. And Huda and de Kock actually gave them a platform that those sorts of players can really take on. Krunal Pandya, 2 games in a row, it feels like he's just come out and tried to hit from ball one and almost looked a little reckless. But in saying that may be his role. He's jumped up the order, so maybe they've asked him to take on whoever's in front of him. Stoinis, you could see he was trying to push on with it, and just, I suppose the wicket probably was his downfall a little bit. But it did feel like we weren't sure what style they were playing through those middle stages, and that's why it looked out of control.
I mean, we're so uncertain with even our comments on this. I guess it's the kind of score we'll revisit at the end of the game to see if Lucknow did well to sort of get 150, or what's happened here. But if Sandeep Sharma is your most economical bowler on the night, going at 4.5 an over, does that tell you something?
I think they used them well. I think they kept them away from the death, and that would have been, a plan before the start of the game, because that's when he's at his worst, when he has to execute with perfect Yorkers. They've got Rabada and Arshdeep Singh to do that, so Sharma was put in his ideal role, and he executed really well.
Looks a better team when they bowl first and restrict them to 150 odd, with now what is a deep batting lineup. I guess, Ben, this team is almost set out to chase.
It is, yes, but the brand of cricket they play, they're very aggressive. I'm not overly sure that's going to work on this type of surface with that variability that I mentioned before. Their tendency to go hard is, this is more of a grinded out, run a ball, pick up a few boundaries at the end sort of thing to get over the line.
They seem to have those personnel too. If Dhawan wants to play that way, if Mayank Agarwal wants to play that way.
Yeah, those two, and I think we talked about before around the last game, it looked like they'd started that planning. They were slow in their power play. I think it was 32 for 1, which was so unusual for them. And then they'll want to hand it off to Livingston more than Rajapaksa, I think, depending on who's bowling. But I think Mayank and Shikhar will have learnt a lot from that wicket, learnt a lot from the previous game here as well, and that should give them, I think, the formula for chasing down this total.
Does this balance of the Lucknow team, regardless of how the second innings go, not quite look as good as we saw in the first half?
No, I mean, I was happy with their balance. I think they are a good team. I think they cover all their bases, particularly in the bowling front. The question marks around their style of play, and it looked like through those middle stages that they reckless, but it didn't feel like they'd had a strategy on how to take it on. They were just going to be aggressive, irrespective of the wicket or the bowlers. So they may have made a mistake there, but they may have been rescued by how well they played at the top, and then some cameos at the back end to get those runs up to the 150 mark.
Kagiso Rabada has got 4 and 10 and bowled a beauty to KL Rahul. Somehow you just think Kagiso Rabada seems to just run up and bowl and get wickets in the IPL. His numbers aren't great in several parts of, if you break it down, Ben, but we know the quality that he has. I've always been fascinated by Rabada, the IPL bowler. Is something about him?
Definitely, but he went at what did he go at today? He went for 38, picked up 4. But you take 2 balls out of that disappeared over the boundary. One of the ones was that nick over third man that definitely wasn't supposed to go there. All of a sudden, his figures, his RPO is back down again. That's just the nature of bowling fast. You're going to take wickets, but you're also going to go for runs from time to time.
The striker is the kind of guy who needs to just get fired up a bit, Rabada, to get going.
Mate, I love a good fiery fast bowler. A bit of lip service, some chin music, really give it to him.
Yeah. So it's Vettori, this Rabada just seems to be a bit of an enigma to me. Sometimes he shows up like it's his job to bowl. Sometimes he looks like the bowler that we rate as this all-format great.
I think it's a fair assessment. I think there's an expectation that he's going to be one of the stars of the IPL. He was a good bowler for Delhi, but Nokia
overshadowed him, yeah?
Outbowled him a lot for them, but they formed a formidable partnership that allowed Delhi to do so well. And the expectation is that he takes that form to Punjab Kings. And I think he'll take his wicket-taking form wherever he goes. It's whether that economy in certain times can be reduced. And I suppose when you're talking about the greats of the game, that's what you expect.
I guess between Rabada and Arshdeep, we have the perfect combination. Arshdeep's done his thing again. Less than 6 and over, no wickets.
Okay, we look at them as a team. So they're 4 for...
8 overs for 61 with 4 wickets in them. You take that.
Brilliant.
All right. Prediction time. This is tricky. Lots of bowling options. Who's going to be a threat on this sort of surface?
I think all the bowlers. I think the fast bowlers will get a good feel whether their cutters are working on. Someone like Holder, who knows how to use that. And then Shamira and Avish Khan, even with their pace, what they do is hit exceptional lengths. And then I think we'll see Pandya and Bishnoi come in when required. I think Pandya is one of those few people who can bowl to left and right-handers as good as any left-arm spinner. So he may be used early on. I think he matches up pretty well to Shikhar Dhawan. So we could see him early.
Punjab get over the line for you, or Lucknow to defend? Or super over? We haven't had one yet.
No, we don't want a super over. It's a long night.
Ben loves it. Ben's got no problem.
Let's change it up. We'll say that Lucknow can defend this.
All right, you're going to say Lucknow can defend this, Katsi?
No, I was going to say that before Dan said it, to be fair. So I think they've got too many runs.
You two need to figure your issues out. Hopefully by the end of the weekend, when we've got both Vettori and Cutting on Maruti Suzuki presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by ICO 9 5G. Split verdict. Let's see if Ben's right or Dan is, and join us at the end of the game. We'll find out.